Welcome back to Literature Guide. Today's video is about Anglo-Norman poetry. The last videos were on Anglo-Saxon poetry and Beowulf. This video contains all the important information about the Anglo-Norman poetry. The Anglo-Norman poetry contains religious poetry, didactic poetry, and dialogues and debates. I have tried my level best to cover all the important poems written during the Anglo-Norman period. This particular video contains the poems like the Owl and the Nightingale, Cursa Mundi, Poema Moral, and the other important poems like Le Brut by Lamon, and the other important poems of Anglo-Norman period. I have tried my level best to provide all important information to the students of English literature. I have covered most of the important poems in this video. I hope you will definitely like this particular video, which is specially designed for the students from the examination point of view. I have tried my level best here to give you important information through this particular video, and I also hope that you have already watched the two videos I have already produced on Anglo-Saxon poetry and Beowulf. You have to study these things because most of the times the questions are put in the exams related to these topics, and the next video will also be on Anglo-Norman poetry, because I could not squeeze all the information in this particular video, because had I done that particular thing, it would have been of great length, more than 1.5 hour length of that video. So I had to cut down the content and make this particular video. The next video will be the second part of this video, and you will definitely like that video also, which will be based on the verse romances written during the Anglo-Norman period, and it will also come soon. I don't want to waste your time. Let's dive into the video and enjoy the video. But before I leave, let me remind you that if you really like my videos, do like and subscribe Literature Guide, so that I can produce many videos like this one for you in future also. And let's dive into the video and enjoy the video.
Anglo-Norman poetry. The Anglo-Norman period denotes the time span between 1100 and 1350. The period between 1066 and 1500 is referred to as the Middle English period. The term Norman conquest of 1066 refers to the victory of William the Conqueror of Normandy over the Saxon king Harold Godwinson, Earl of Wessex, in the Battle of Hastings. It does not mean that the Normans had no links with the Saxons. Even in Anglo-Norman poetry the echoes of Anglo-Saxon poetry are heard. The Norman conquest changed the countenance of the English life, language, culture, traditions, and architecture. The French dialect was spoken by the ruling class, whereas in the churches and monasteries the Old Latin language was in use. The native people spoke various English dialects. The Anglo-Norman people shared literary culture with French-speaking regions of mainland Europe. The City of London became the centre of attraction, and it was the capital city of the Kingdom of England. The Oxford and the Cambridge universities became centres of learning. The University of Oxford was founded in 1163 and the Cambridge University in 1209. The London Bridge came into being in the same year. Characteristics of Anglo-Norman poetry. The Anglo-Norman period was the period of transition. So the literature, culture, and language of the times were also in a state of flux. There were three major forces, Latin, French and the native English language, exerting their influence on the Anglo-Norman life and culture. Some works of Anglo-Norman poetry derived inspiration from the Old English poetry. The reader can observe this in the poems Le Brut and Guy of Warwick. Many Anglo-Norman poems are without authorship. They are anonymous. It also clearly indicates the vogue of oral tradition of popular literature. The Anglo-Saxon poetry is highly didactic, reflective and meditative, and religious in nature. It revolves round stories in the Holy Bible and Scriptures. It also presents description of wars, wildlife, and pain and suffering of man. It is highly primitive in nature. But the Anglo-Norman poetry covers a wide range of subjects like wars, wildlife, philosophy, romance, religion, and chronicles. The Anglo-Norman poetry also brought some changes in the grammar and syntax of the native English language. Many new Latin and French words were added into the English vocabulary. Geoffrey of Monmouth's famous prose work, the Historia Regum Britanniae, or the History of the Kings of Britain, laid the foundation of Lohrmann's poem Le Brut. But Lohrmann based his poem on Wace's French translation called Roman de Brut. In the poem, Le Brut, Lohrmann has sung of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table for the first time in English literature. There is a fine blending of alliterative lines and rhymed couplets of unequal length. There is also artistic use of similes in the poem. In Le Brut, there is pictorial description of a life of Saxon warrior, battles, wildlife, and life in the forests and fields rather than the chivalry and romance of the Norman court. He has set a story of King Arthur with a different background. There is dramatic force, simplicity, and lucidity of expression, and splendor of the old epic poem. Though there were various dialects in use in the Anglo-Norman times, Lohrmann's poem Brut asserts a national identity. The poet has acquainted the modern readers with the older historical traditions. Lohrmann's poem Le Brut can be called the first national epic in English. The poem comprises 32,241 lines. Dialogues and debates. The Owl and the Nightingale is an early 13th century poem which presents a debate between the nightingale and the owl. This debate is highly symbolic. The primary function of the debate was to instruct the people with the help of myth, ethics and philosophy. The Owl and the Nightingale has no religious message, but it is an interesting study in ethics. The poem is attributed to Nicholas de Guildford. The nightingale enters into argument with the owl. The nightingale is disturbed by the sight of the owl while singing its song. The nightingale despises the owl and abuses the bird. Both the nightingale and the owl attack each other by using harsh words. They quarrel over the singing capacities and the manner of life of the other. The owl questions the value of the nightingale's song. The nightingale considers her song superior to the owl. The nightingale states that the clerks and the monks make songs and praises the glory of God, and she adds music and melody to their songs by singing her song. She teaches men to seek the song that has perpetual and lasting value. The Owl and the Nightingale implies a contest between didactic and religious poetry and the poetry of love. The Wren suggests that the matter should be taken to Master Nicholas, who is known for his wisdom. The Owl and the Nightingale contains 1,794 lines. It is written in octosyllabic couplet. The poem vividly presents two views of life, the serious and ascetic and the worldly and joyous view of life. The poem is an allegory and it is pregnant with immense meaning. The final verdict of Master Nicholas is not known and it is not conveyed clearly. The nightingale is hopeful of reaching God and winning heaven with its melodious song. The owl puts stress on the need of self-examination, good deeds and gravity. Winner and Waster is another alliterative poem in debate form written around 1352 comprising 500 lines. The poem Winner and Waster deals with the contemporary economic crisis of the times. The poem is written in Northwest Midland dialect. The Winner and Waster is a debate like the owl and the nightingale. It is a dream poem and the narrator sees in his dream two armies on the plain. The poem is highly symbolic and the two armies represent two classes of society. They are the winners who possess money or wealth in society and the other class of waster represents the people who spend money. The Pope and the greedy friars belong to the first category and the nobility and soldiery belong to the other category of the wasters. In the final part, the king sends the waster to the markets of London to boost up the economy and the winner to the rich courts of Pope and the cardinals. The poem Winner and Waster is often compared to William Langland's famous poem Piers Plowman. Poema Moral or the Moral Ode is an important Anglo-Norman poem comprising 400 lines. The poem deals with the theme of mutability and repentance. In the Poema Moral, the poet laments over the wasted opportunities and badly and indifferently spent youth. It puts stress on doing good deeds and abstaining from sins. It is important to note that the poem Poema Moral helped building up English metre. The poem has didactic tone and it asks people to keep in mind the day of judgment and the thought of hell and paradise ever before them while doing any deed. The Ormulum is an Anglo-Norman poem written in the early part of the 13th century. It is probably composed by Om, an Augustinian monk who lived in Mercia. Hence, the title of the poem is the Ormulum. In the poem, Om has paraphrased the Gospel and homily into blank verse. It is a fragmentary work comprising 10,000 lines. In the poem Ormulum, the readers scarcely find Norman French words. Ormulum is quintessence of the East Midland dialect. There is absence of rhyme and alliteration. It is based on some medieval Latin poem. It is also said that it is the imitation of the poem Poema Moral. The poem reflects clarity, simplicity and completeness. The poem, the Ormulum, is written in iambic verse of 15 syllables. The poem revolves round the Gospel which deals with the life of Jesus Christ. The Old English poem, the Genesis and the Exodus have great significance in the literary arena. The Holy Bible reached the doorsteps of common people with this poem. Secondly, the Genesis and the Exodus is the oldest poem in which the style of the French clerics was employed adroitly. It is Middle English poem comprising 4,000 lines of rhyming couplets. The poem, the Genesis and the Exodus, describes the scriptural history from creation to the death of Moses. It is based partly on the Holy Bible. Didactic poems. Another important and famous poem of Anglo-Norman period is Cursa Mundi or the History of the World. The poem is written in 1320 and it contains 30,000 lines. It survived in the 7 manuscripts. The poem is written in octosyllabic couplets. The poem Cursa Mundi not only instructs but also amuses people. The poet has made the ignorant masses acquainted with the biblical stories and legends. The poem presents man's spiritual development and history from the creation to the last judgment, divided into 7 ages. The poem Cursa Mundi describes the story of the fall of angels, the creation of man, and the loss of the paradise. The poem also presents the tale of the death of Adam, and prophesies concerning the birth of Jesus Christ, and the parentage of Virgin Mary. The important treatise in verse of Anglo-Norman period is the Handling Sinner composed by Robert Manny of Brunn. The poem is based on the Ten Commandments and the Seven Deadly Sins. It is adapted from William Wadington's French work Manuel des Péchés. The Handling Sinner deals with sin under various headings: 12 Articles of Faith, the 7 Deadly Sins, and the 7 Sacraments. It also comments on the 12 requisite of Shrifts and the 12 graces which are bestowed upon man for a good confession. This verse treatise of Robert Manny appeals to the ordinary people. The Handling Sinner also throws light on contemporary issues, customs and the social life of people. The poet talks of the Saturday as half-holy day. He asks people not to gamble and visit taverns on holy days. According to the poet, tournaments, games and jousts are bad because these activities involve the 7 deadly sins. Similarly, dances, carols, summer games should also be abhorred. The poet further states that no miracle plays should be performed except the plays of Jesus Christ's birth and resurrection. The poet is against the carols and games because they were performed in the churchyard. If people participate in the games inside the churchyard, they are guilty of sacrilege. The poem contains many stories, but the most important one is the story of the dancers of Colbeck, or the story of the cursed dancers. This story deals with the dancing of the revelers who incessantly dance in the churchyard along with the priest's daughter. When the priest reaches there, they do not pay attention to him, so he cursed them that they will continue dancing incessantly for the whole year. As a result, at the end of the year the priest's daughter collapses and dies. The poem Handling Sinner is written in octosyllabic couplets and composed in 1303.
How is the video? I hope you like the video. The next video will also be on Anglo-Norman poetry, especially on the verse romances written during the Anglo-Norman period. As I have already told you, if you really like my videos, do like and subscribe Literature Guide. It is only because of you that this particular channel has crossed 1000 subscribers. I am very much thankful to my subscribers and non-subscribers who just watch my videos and get what they want. And it is only because of you that we have crossed the 1000 subscriber threshold, and I hope you will continue giving support to this small channel, which will be a big one only because of your support. I hope so. It is a small family of 1000 subscribers, but it is only because of you that it will expand, and I hope so. Okay, so do like and subscribe Literature Guide so that I can produce many videos on English literature for you in future. The next video will be on Anglo-Norman poetry. I don't want to waste your time. Do like and subscribe. Meet you soon with a new video on Anglo-Norman poetry. Meet you.
Please subscribe Literature Guide.